covering Grand Island, Hastings, and Kearney. Local 4 at 10 starts now.
The famous Cellar onion rings are about a week away from being available to the general public. Tonight, we talked to the owner who's helping bring the Kearney restaurant back to life. Plus, just a day after announcing his candidacy for the District 33 seat of the Nebraska legislature, Paul Hameling talks to Local 4 about his road ahead. But first, storm chances returning for parts of Nebraska tonight, but how will the Tri-Cities be impacted? Thanks for joining us tonight on Local 4 News at 10. I'm Spencer Schubert. Danielle Schenk has the night off. Well, let's get things right over to John Walsh in our Local 4 weather studio. And John, you've had your eye on the radar all night long. Where do things stand right now?
Yeah, and didn't see much all night, evening long. At 6 o'clock tonight, we were talking about how the earlier storms, not storms, but the showers and the clouds from earlier in the day sort of stabilized the atmosphere. And that certainly was the case. We really didn't see much happen. Saw one severe thunderstorm warning down in Hitchcock County right during the 6 o'clock news, and that's about the only activity we've seen throughout the nighttime hours. Now, we do have some showers ongoing, just some light showers that had developed over toward Frontier County and parts of Hayes County, and those are still ongoing. They're very, very light. And some rain showers moving through north central Kansas right now. Maybe a few sprinkles or light showers also across southeast Nebraska. Some severe weather, though, over farther to the southwest of us in western Kansas, but that's about the extent of it. So the clouds did their job this afternoon. We escaped the severe weather, still keeping some slight chances in as we cross over in the overnight. But after that, we're going to be seeing some clearing for tomorrow. Temperatures still fairly mild, and we're looking at a mild close to the week. But details on some changes to our pattern next week coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you, John. Well, the West Nile virus has been detected once again in Hall County. The Central District Health Department says that 2 groups of mosquitoes turned up positive this week. There are no human cases reported at this time, but the virus is present in the area. Most people don't have symptoms, but roughly 1 in 150 people will develop a severe illness, and people over the age of 60 are at a greater risk. Well, Nebraska's polarizing 12-week abortion ban remains in effect this evening, with its legal future, though, still in limbo after a court hearing today. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU of Nebraska are asking a judge for a temporary injunction when it comes to the new law. When that abortion ban was combined with the Let Them Grow Act, which restricts gender-affirming care for minors in Nebraska, those groups argued that it violates Nebraska's single subject rule. Meanwhile, though, the state is pushing back, saying that lawmakers do this all the time, and they're asking the judge to toss the lawsuit out. Well, a local businessman is looking to occupy a soon-to-be empty seat in the state legislature as Paul Hameling has thrown his name into the race. Current Senator Steve Halloran is term limited, so Hameling felt like this is the ideal time to run. He brings a variety of skills with expertise in finance and housing and says he's against Governor Pillen's decision to line veto $10 million in federal housing funds. He says he'd be a strong advocate for the Hastings area.
As we look at opportunities here in South Central Nebraska, there are ways that at the state level we can help facilitate infrastructure issues which are critically important to Hastings. It's something that I was really focused on the city council, making sure things like 42nd Street got done. We have the Highway 6 project that's moving forward.
Hameling says those projects are state funded and will be a huge benefit to the city. Well, in Grand Island, a man is recovering after being assaulted and robbed Tuesday afternoon. Grand Island police say a delivery man for mechanic shops in town had cash on hand, and while at his vehicle on Capitol Avenue and Engelman Road, someone walked up, punched him in the face, and then took money from the business bag he was carrying, as well as his personal wallet. The total stolen amounted to around $600. So far, GI police do not have any suspects. The case is still under investigation. And staying in Grand Island, a man is going to federal prison for a rash of drug overdoses last year. In March of 2022, 3 GI people overdosed while one of them even died. Today, a federal judge sentenced 20-year-old Muhammad Ahmed for possession of cocaine and fentanyl, as well as a weapons charge. She'll be serving 9 years in prison, then 5 years probation. During a search of his apartment last year, police found cocaine, prescription drugs, and 3 handguns. Over in Kearney, a man is facing felony drug charges after a traffic stop earlier this week. 31-year-old Jason McGee is charged right now with possession with intent to distribute meth, cocaine, and marijuana. A Kearney police officer observed a vehicle weaving in and out of its lane in several parts of town on Monday. And after pulling the car over, the officer found nearly 36 grams of weed, 43 grams of meth, and 39 grams of cocaine. McGee had stored the drugs in a bag inside his floorboard. His next court date is now set for August 10th. Well, the Hastings City Council wants more info regarding the future of City Hall. The city's environmental director will get asbestos cost estimates on both demolishing the facility but also renovating it. A whole new build or tearing apart the current building to the frame for a complete overhaul, that's about $300,000 more than renovating it. City Administrator Sean Metcalf, despite a push for a public vote, says he feels that the council is best equipped to handle that decision. Well, Mary Lanning Healthcare in Hastings is partnering with Birth Tissue Donor Service to give new mothers an option to donate. Deciding when they will donate, though, will be on their own timeline. The process goes through the patient's nurse to ensure that the patient is completely ready to make that decision. And officials say the health and well-being of the new moms is their top priority, but donating birth tissue could help a variety of other patients.
The majority of placentas are discarded as biohazard waste. So instead of them being discarded, it is an altruistic gift that mom can donate that can help anywhere from 1 to 100 patients with the different grafts they can make.
When it comes to healing wounds, placenta tissue is extraordinary, and the demand for it right now is on the rise. Well, in other health news, for many Nebraskans, the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, but for some, it's still very much a part of their life. In fact, more than 87,000 people in Nebraska alone suffer from long COVID. So Madonna rehab hospitals are rolling out a new form of care. It's thanks to a $7.5 million grant. The idea is to use a combination of technology and rehab to make their lives better.
I truly was floating down to an abyss before I came here. So in many ways, they've saved me, you know, and brought me back up.
If you or anyone you know feels as if you may be experiencing ongoing symptoms from COVID, you can start with an online self-assessment on Madonna's website. Well, a Kearney family and consumer sciences teacher has been honored for excellence in teaching. The Nebraska Career Education Conference recognized Carol Kreitzer with the Developer Award, which is presented to teachers who engage in professional development through multiple areas. Kreitzer teaches skills to help others master everyday challenges while also making a positive impact on individuals, families, and communities. And in other education news, if you've been paying off your student loans for more than 20 years, using an income-driven repayment plan while your loans could soon be wiped out. Under a new plan from the Biden administration, more than 800,000 borrowers have been using the plan for 2 decades. And here in Nebraska, that amounts to 5,700 people to the tune of nearly $269 million. According to the U.S. Department of Education, borrowers on these IDR plans are entitled to forgiveness after making a certain amount of payments, and that past administrations have failed to recognize that. Well, the Nebraska State Fair is back in the news tonight. They say this year will have an emphasis on inclusivity. In fact, they'll be hosting a special day that's safe and fun for everyone. September 1st will be Fairtastic Friday, which will provide a sensory-friendly environment for people of all ages. There will be resources for parents and caretakers and sensory-friendly activities for those attending. To register, you can find a link on this story on our Local 4 website. And speaking of fairs, the Adams County Fair Fest kicked off today. Events started at 8 this morning with the 4-H Swine Show over at the Livestock Arena. The 4-H Grand and Reserve Champion Static Exhibition Recognition Parade took place at 5:30. And country singer Neil McCoy just wrapped up his first performance of mini concerts to highlight the weekend. And the Hall County Fair over in Grand Island kicked off today as well. The Flowers exhibit and the Arts and Crafts Photography exhibit highlighted the Aurora Cooperative Pavilion, and the Rabbits exhibit could be seen over in the Tom Dinsdale Automotive Cattle Barn. For a complete list of events and exhibits happening at the Hall County Fair, visit ksmblocal4.com. Well, Nebraska casinos made more than $1.3 million in gaming tax revenue last month. That money comes from 3 Nebraska casinos, the newest being the Harrah's over in Columbus, as well as Warhorse in Lincoln and the Grand Island Casino and Resort. Revenue dropped to $414,000 though in GI compared to $459,000 in May. And that's the same case for Lincoln. They saw a nearly $67,000 drop month to month. This is the first report for Columbus, though. They made $179,000 in gaming revenue. And next week, you will get the chance to try the signature onion rings from the Cellar over in Kearney. The Staple is set to reopen sometime next week with the same location at the intersection of 2nd Avenue and 39th Street. This time, though, the menu will consist of original food items like the onion rings, but some new ones as well, like canned nachos and billion-dollar bacon. Even though there were a few setbacks in construction, owner Angela Mortensen says she's excited to bring the sports bar back to life. And if you're new to the Cellar, here are some things you might expect.
You're going to expect great customer service, friendly atmosphere, and you're going to get treated great and great food. We're excited to have everybody here the next few months or whatever and to see all the smiling faces.
As you can see, the bar has been completely renovated as well with a brand new look. Well, who wants to be a billionaire? No one matched all of the numbers on Monday night's Powerball drawing, so tonight's drawing that just happened is for $1 billion. The lump sum cash payment on that, in case you're wondering, $518 million. And it's only the 7th time in U.S. history that a lottery jackpot has reached at least $1 billion. Your chance of winning, though, still pretty small, 1 in 292 million. But you can't win if you don't play. The largest Powerball prize ever won came last November when a California man won $2 billion. Well, as long as our very own John Walsh didn't win the Powerball just minutes ago, he'll be back with your full forecast, which could include storm chances for at least some of you overnight. Plus, we're revealing the last batch of our Local 4 Photos of the Week for the summer season. We'll show you which picks made the cut. And an Area 7 District Champion crowned tonight in Grand Island. Kearney, Runza, and Hastings 5 Points treated fans to a wild pair of games for the title. We have your highlights queued up for you later in sports.